Your soulmate never forgot you, even when the world pulled you apart. Don't scroll, listen to this because your heart needs this right now. This message is for you. If your eyes stopped here today, allow yourself to be still for just a moment. Out of countless videos, endless voices, and millions of distractions, something gently guided you to these words. Maybe you have been asking the universe for a sign. Maybe your heart has been carrying questions that no one around you could answer. Maybe you've smiled on the outside while secretly wondering if someone, somewhere, still remembers you the way you remember them. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. There are moments in life when distance tells one story, but destiny tells another. The world may separate two people through circumstances, timing, responsibilities, misunderstandings, or miles that seem impossible to cross, yet the heart often continues writing a story long after everyone else believes it has ended. This message is for you because your soul needs to remember something important today. Just because life became complicated does not mean every meaningful connection disappeared. Just because seasons change does not mean every promise made by the heart was forgotten. There was a time when everything felt possible. You believed that love could overcome obstacles. You believed honesty would always find its way back home. Then life happened. Unexpected turns appeared. Plans changed. Conversations became shorter. Silence slowly replaced laughter. Days became weeks, and weeks quietly became months. You searched for explanations that never seemed to arrive. There were evenings when you stared out the window wondering if they ever thought about you anymore. There were mornings when you promised yourself you would stop looking back, only to find a familiar memory returning before the day was over. Don't scroll, listen to this because your heart needs this right now. If that sounds familiar, know this: healing and remembering can exist together. Missing someone does not erase the strength you've built, and growing stronger does not require pretending the past never mattered. Somewhere, your soulmate has also been carrying a story they rarely share with anyone else. To the outside world, they appear to be moving forward. They handle responsibilities, meet expectations, and continue with the rhythm of everyday life. Friends may think they have everything figured out. Family may believe they have already closed that chapter forever. Yet quiet moments tell a different story. When the noise fades and the day finally slows down, memories begin speaking again. They remember conversations that once made difficult days easier. They remember your kindness during moments when they felt uncertain about themselves. They remember how safe it felt to laugh without pretending to be perfect. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Those memories have never completely disappeared. They simply waited beneath the surface until the heart was ready to face them honestly. The universe has a remarkable way of protecting meaningful lessons until the exact moment they can be understood. There were seasons when your soulmate could not fully appreciate what your presence meant because they were still learning who they were. Sometimes people mistake consistency for something ordinary simply because it is always there. They assume tomorrow will offer another chance. They believe love can wait while fear makes every important decision. Only later do they discover that genuine connection is one of life's rarest gifts. This message is for you. If you have ever wondered whether your kindness mattered, whether your patience was noticed, or whether your love left a lasting mark, remember this: sincere care often plants seeds that bloom long after the moment has passed. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. Have you noticed how certain songs seem to arrive at exactly the right time? How a familiar place unexpectedly brings back a memory. How you sometimes glance at the clock and notice repeating numbers like 111, 222, or 444 just when you're reflecting on your journey. Whether you see these moments as spiritual reminders or meaningful coincidences, they can encourage you to pause and remember that life is still unfolding. Every chapter carries lessons. Every ending creates room for a beginning that cannot yet be seen. Sometimes the greatest transformation happens quietly, far away from public view, inside hearts that are slowly learning the courage to become honest. While your soulmate has been reflecting on the past, you have been changing too. You are no longer the person who believed your worth depended on someone else's ability to recognize it. You have survived difficult conversations, unanswered questions, and long stretches of uncertainty. You have learned that peace is something worth protecting. You have discovered that healthy love never asks you to lose yourself just to keep someone else close. Those lessons were not easy, but they have shaped you into someone wiser, calmer, and more grounded than before. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Growth often happens so gradually that we fail to notice it until one day we realize we no longer react the way we once did. We no longer chase every answer. We no longer fear every silence. We begin trusting ourselves again. Your soulmate has reached a similar turning point. They have started asking questions they once avoided. Why did your memory never truly fade? Why does every meaningful lesson somehow remind them of something you once said? Why does the feeling of being genuinely understood seem impossible to replace? Those questions have become impossible to ignore because truth has a quiet persistence. It does not demand attention. It simply waits until the heart becomes willing to listen. Don't scroll, listen to this because your heart needs this right now. Sometimes what feels like distance is actually preparation. Sometimes two people spend time apart not because the story has ended, but because each soul still has lessons to learn before the next chapter can begin. Imagine your soulmate sitting alone after another ordinary day. The room is quiet. The phone is silent. Outside, the world continues moving as always. Inside, however, something has shifted. They remember your laughter without trying. They remember the encouragement you offered during difficult seasons. They remember moments they once considered small but now recognize as priceless. For the first time in a long while, they stop fighting those memories. Instead, they allow themselves to admit a simple truth: they never truly forgot you. Life became busy. Circumstances became complicated. Fear became louder than honesty. But forgetting you was never something their heart actually accomplished. This message is for you. The world may have pulled your paths in different directions, but meaningful connections often leave lasting impressions that time alone cannot erase. That does not guarantee what tomorrow will bring, and it does not promise a specific ending. What it does remind you is that genuine love, sincere kindness, and authentic connection matter. They shape people. They change lives. They become part of who we are long after the moment itself has passed. Don't scroll. Because your heart needs this right now. Continue choosing peace. Continue becoming the strongest version of yourself. Continue believing that every lesson has prepared you for a healthier future than the one you imagined during your hardest days. Your journey is not defined only by what was lost. It is also defined by everything you have gained: wisdom, resilience, compassion, and the courage to love without losing yourself. And somewhere, as your soulmate quietly accepts the truth they have carried for longer than they realized, another chapter is beginning to unfold. A chapter where hidden memories become honest reflection, where reflection slowly becomes courage, and where one realization changes everything. Some hearts may be separated by the world for a season, but they never truly forget the people who changed them forever. Don't scroll. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. This message is for you. There is something your soul has been sensing that your mind has not fully understood yet. Have you ever noticed how certain memories appear without warning? You could be driving home after an ordinary day, making dinner, walking through a grocery store, or watching the evening sky, and suddenly a familiar feeling washes over you. It isn't because you're living in the past. It isn't because you're unable to move forward. Sometimes the heart remembers what the mind has tried to organize into neat little boxes. Sometimes a connection leaves such a deep imprint that even life itself cannot erase it. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Your soulmate has been experiencing those same quiet moments. They may not talk about them. They may not even know how to explain them. But something has been gently pulling them back toward the truth they once tried to silence. For a long time, they believed distance would eventually become forgetfulness. They thought that if enough birthdays passed, enough seasons changed, and enough new experiences filled their calendar, the memories would slowly disappear. Instead, something completely different happened. Time did not erase your presence from their heart. Time revealed your value. Every year brought greater clarity. Every challenge taught them another lesson. Every disappointment helped them recognize qualities they once overlooked. They discovered that kindness cannot be replaced by convenience. Trust cannot be replaced by excitement. Emotional safety cannot be replaced by temporary attention. The more life unfolded, the more they realized that what they shared with you had quietly become the standard against which they measured every meaningful connection afterward. This message is for you. Never underestimate the impact genuine love can have on another person's life. Even when people are separated by circumstances, authentic care has a way of remaining long after the moment itself has passed. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. There were days when you wondered if your soulmate ever thought about you anymore. You questioned whether your name ever crossed their mind. You imagined that perhaps they had completely moved on while you were still carrying pieces of the story in your heart. Those thoughts were painful because they made you feel invisible. But healing has slowly shown you something beautiful. Your worth was never determined by how often someone thought about you. Your worth has always existed independently of anyone else's awareness. That realization has been quietly transforming you into someone who no longer begs to be chosen because you already know you are valuable. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. The universe often prepares us for healthy love by teaching us that our identity cannot depend upon another person's decisions. Meanwhile, your soulmate has begun noticing something unusual. Every time they believe they have finally reached emotional closure, another reminder appears. It may be a familiar place that unexpectedly brings back a conversation. It may be a song that reminds them of your laughter. It may be seeing someone perform an act of kindness that instantly reminds them of the compassion you showed so naturally. These moments no longer feel like random coincidences. They feel like invitations to stop pretending that the story never mattered. Every reminder quietly asks the same question. What if the connection you keep remembering deserves to be understood rather than ignored? This message is for you. Sometimes the universe does not remove meaningful people from our hearts because there is still something important left for us to learn. That lesson is not always about reunion. Sometimes it is about gratitude. Sometimes it is about forgiveness. Sometimes it is about recognizing the kind of love that helped shape who we became. Your soulmate is beginning to understand that your influence did not end when the distance began. The lessons you taught through your patience, your honesty, and your unwavering support continued growing inside them long after your paths separated. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. Think about how much your own life has changed since everything fell apart. There was a season when every unanswered message felt like rejection. Every silence felt personal. Every delay made you wonder whether hope itself had been a mistake. Yet look at where you stand today. You have learned to protect your peace. You have learned that your boundaries are acts of self-respect rather than selfishness. You have discovered that loving someone deeply should never require abandoning yourself. Those lessons were expensive, but they have become part of your strength. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Perhaps you've noticed repeating numbers appearing at unexpected moments. Maybe 111 catches your attention whenever you're beginning to believe in yourself again. Maybe 222 appears during moments when you're learning patience. Perhaps 444 reminds you that you are supported even when life feels uncertain. Maybe 777 encourages you to trust the wisdom you've gained through every difficult season. However you personally interpret these moments, let them become reminders that growth is rarely wasted. Every challenge has been preparing you for a future built on greater clarity. Your soulmate has also changed in ways few people realize. They no longer chase approval in the same places. They have become more thoughtful before speaking, more willing to admit mistakes, and more interested in building genuine relationships than impressing others. The person they are becoming is very different from the person who once believed distance would solve everything. Experience has humbled them. Reflection has softened them. Time has taught them that some people leave temporary memories while others quietly become part of your soul's story forever. This message is for you. There is another truth your heart needs to hear today. If someone remembers you with gratitude, that does not erase the importance of your own healing. If someone grows because of the love you once shared, that growth belongs to their journey. Your responsibility has always been to continue growing on your own path as well. Never stop choosing the peace you fought so hard to find. Never trade your self-respect for uncertainty. Healthy love will never ask you to forget the wisdom your hardest seasons taught you. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. Imagine your soulmate sitting quietly beneath the evening sky after another ordinary day. They are no longer asking themselves whether they remember you. That question has already been answered. Instead, they are asking why your memory has remained so steady despite everything life has placed between you. They realize it was never simply about the past. It was about the person you helped them become. They recognize that some connections continue shaping us long after the conversation's end. That realization fills their heart with gratitude, humility, and a quiet desire to live more honestly than before. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Continue trusting your own journey. Continue walking toward the life you are creating with courage and hope. The world may have pulled your paths apart for a season, but it could never erase the lessons, the kindness, or the transformation that genuine love inspired. And as your soulmate continues embracing the truth they can no longer deny, another page of this story is beginning to unfold, a page where silent memories become heartfelt understanding, where understanding slowly becomes courage, and where the distance that once seemed impossible begins looking very different through eyes that have finally learned the true value of what was never forgotten. Don't scroll, listen to this because your heart needs this right now. This message is for you. There are some connections that time cannot erase because they were never built only through moments, they were built through meaning. Your soulmate is beginning to understand that truth more deeply than ever before. For a long time, they believed remembering you was simply a habit that would eventually disappear. They told themselves that life would become busy enough, loud enough, and full enough to silence every memory that carried your name. But the opposite happened. The busier life became, the more obvious the quiet emptiness inside them felt. They discovered that distractions can fill a schedule, but they cannot replace the peace that comes from feeling truly understood. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Somewhere, perhaps even today, your soulmate found themselves reflecting on a moment they had not thought about in a long time. It wasn't a grand declaration of love. It wasn't the biggest adventure you shared. It was something beautifully ordinary. Maybe it was a conversation that made them feel accepted. Maybe it was a laugh that arrived during a difficult season. Maybe it was the way you encouraged them without expecting anything in return. Those simple memories have become priceless because they now recognize that genuine love often hides inside ordinary moments. This message is for you. While they have been rediscovering the value of those memories, your own heart has been discovering something even greater, your own strength. There was a season when you believed the distance between you meant the story no longer mattered. You questioned your intuition. You wondered if your heart had simply refused to let go. Yet healing has slowly revealed another perspective. Meaningful experiences shape us whether or not they last forever. Every act of kindness you shared, every lesson you learned, and every moment you chose compassion over resentment became part of the person you are today. Nothing about that growth has been wasted. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. The universe has been quietly teaching your soulmate through contrast. They met people who made them realize how rare emotional honesty truly is. They experienced conversations that never reached the depth they once shared with you. They discovered that excitement fades quickly when trust is missing. Little by little, life began showing them the difference between temporary attraction and lasting connection. Every lesson pointed back to the same realization. The qualities they admired most were the very qualities they once overlooked in you. Listen to this. Because your heart needs this right now. Have you noticed that your own heart reacts differently than it once did? You still remember, but you no longer feel consumed by those memories. You still care, but you no longer feel defined by uncertainty. That change is not because your heart has become colder. It is because it has become wiser. You have learned that loving someone and respecting yourself can exist together. You have learned that peace is not found in chasing answers but in trusting your own value, even when life leaves certain questions unanswered. This message is for you. Your soulmate has also begun asking different questions. They are no longer asking, "Why did life separate us?" Instead, they are asking, "What was I unable to see back then?" That shift matters. Growth begins the moment blame gives way to reflection. They have started recognizing the fears that influenced their decisions. They understand that uncertainty often caused them to step back when honesty would have brought them closer. Those realizations are not easy, but they are changing them one quiet day at a time. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. Sometimes the universe allows distance because both people still have lessons to learn individually. You needed to discover your own resilience. You needed to realize that your kindness was never weakness. You needed to understand that your heart deserves consistency, respect, and emotional safety. Your soulmate needed to learn gratitude. They needed to experience the difference between people who simply pass through life and people who genuinely leave a lasting imprint on the soul. Those lessons could not be rushed. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Perhaps you've noticed little reminders appearing throughout your days. Maybe you keep seeing 111 when you're beginning to believe in yourself again. Maybe 222 appears during moments when patience feels difficult. Perhaps 444 reminds you that support often exists even when you cannot see it. However you interpret those moments, let them encourage you to remain grounded in hope instead of fear. The future is not written by panic. It is shaped one thoughtful choice at a time. This message is for you. Imagine your soulmate sitting quietly after another ordinary evening, looking back over the path that brought them here. They realize that the world may have pulled your lives in different directions, but it never erased what your connection taught them. They understand that your influence continued long after the conversations ended. The kindness you showed became the standard they unconsciously searched for. The acceptance you offered became something they quietly missed. They never truly forgot you because your presence became part of the way they understood love itself. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. As your soulmate continues embracing these truths, something inside them is changing. They are becoming less interested in protecting their pride and more interested in living honestly. The fear that once kept them silent is slowly losing its power. Gratitude is replacing denial. Reflection is replacing avoidance. They know they cannot rewrite the past, but they are beginning to believe that the future should no longer be shaped by old fears. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Continue choosing the life you have been building. Continue honoring the peace you fought so hard to find. Continue trusting that every difficult season has prepared you for healthier relationships, deeper understanding, and stronger self-respect. Whether life eventually brings your paths together again or leads each of you toward different horizons, never forget that genuine love leaves people better than it found them. And as your soulmate quietly accepts that they never truly forgot you, not even when the world pulled you apart, the next chapter draws closer, where silent gratitude begins transforming into the courage to face what has remained unspoken for far too long. Don't scroll. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. This message is for you. There are seasons when the world believes a story has ended, yet heaven quietly continues writing chapters that no one can see. This is one of those seasons. The distance that once seemed permanent has not erased what was written inside two hearts. It has only revealed which feelings were temporary and which ones were real enough to survive silence, time, and change. Your soulmate is beginning to understand that truth in a way they never imagined possible. Every day they wake up believing they have finally accepted the past, but before the day ends, something reminds them that your connection was never ordinary. It was never just another chapter. It became part of the person they are. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. There are moments when your soulmate catches themselves smiling at memories they never intended to revisit. It might happen while watching the sunrise before work. It might happen during an evening drive when a familiar song begins to play. It might happen while hearing someone laugh in a way that sounds unexpectedly familiar. Suddenly, without warning, they remember how effortless it felt to be themselves around you. They remember that with you they never had to perform, pretend, or prove their worth. They could simply exist, and somehow that was enough. They now realize how rare that feeling truly was. This message is for you. While your soulmate has been rediscovering those memories, you have been rediscovering yourself. There was a time when every reminder of them felt like reopening an old wound. You questioned whether healing would ever feel complete. But today something is different. You no longer carry the same fear. You have learned to protect your peace. You have learned that your happiness cannot depend entirely on another person's choices. You have become someone who values emotional honesty over empty promises and consistent effort over temporary excitement. Those lessons were difficult, but they transformed your heart into something stronger than pain. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. The universe often teaches through absence what we failed to learn through presence. Your soulmate has experienced that lesson again and again. They have met people who admired them but did not understand them. They have shared conversations that sounded pleasant but lacked depth. They have filled calendars with activity only to discover that being busy is not the same as being fulfilled. Every experience has quietly pointed them back toward the same realization. The connection they once believed they could replace was never something that could be duplicated. It was unique because it was built on sincerity rather than appearances. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Perhaps you've noticed yourself becoming calmer when thinking about the future. Instead of worrying about every unanswered question, you have started trusting that life has a way of revealing what truly belongs in its own time. Maybe you've been seeing repeating numbers like 111 when you're beginning something new, 222 during moments that call for patience, or 444 when you need reassurance that you are not alone. Whether you see these moments as spiritual signs or simply meaningful reminders, let them encourage you to keep walking forward without fear. Your journey has never been standing still, even when it felt that way. This message is for you. Your soulmate has reached a place where excuses no longer bring comfort. They have stopped blaming timing. They have stopped blaming circumstances. They have stopped pretending that distance alone was responsible for everything that happened. Instead, they are beginning to look inward. They are recognizing the moments when fear spoke louder than honesty. They are remembering opportunities to communicate that were replaced by silence. They are accepting that growth begins only when someone is willing to face the truth without hiding behind old stories. That realization has humbled them more than they ever expected. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. Imagine your soulmate sitting quietly after another ordinary evening. The room is peaceful. The world outside continues moving, but inside something profound is happening. They begin replaying memories that once seemed insignificant. They remember a conversation where you encouraged them after a difficult day. They remember how you celebrated their victories without making them feel guilty for succeeding. They remember the patience you showed when life became overwhelming. Looking back now, they understand that those moments were never small. Those moments were the foundation of trust, and trust is one of the rarest gifts life can offer. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. There is another lesson unfolding inside your soulmate's heart. They are discovering that remembering you is not about refusing to move forward. It is about recognizing the impact someone can have on another person's life. Some people pass through our story and leave pleasant memories. Others change the way we understand love, kindness, and ourselves forever. Your soulmate has finally accepted that you belong in the second category. That realization carries gratitude, humility, and a quiet sadness for everything they once failed to appreciate. This message is for you. At the same time, the universe is reminding you not to lose sight of your own transformation. You have become more discerning. You no longer ignore your intuition simply because your emotions hope for a different outcome. You understand that healthy love creates stability instead of confusion. You know that respect must exist alongside affection. Those truths will protect your heart in every relationship that follows, whether it involves someone from your past or someone entirely new. Your growth is one of the greatest blessings this journey has given you. Don't scroll, because your heart needs this right now. The distance that once existed between you and your soulmate is beginning to look different, not because the miles have changed, but because the hearts on either side of that distance have changed. Reflection has softened what pride once hardened. Gratitude has replaced assumptions. The lessons both of you needed to learn separately have quietly shaped the people you are becoming. Life has not stood still. Neither have your hearts. Listen to this, because your heart needs this right now. Continue trusting the peace you have built. Continue believing that every difficult chapter has strengthened you rather than diminished you. Continue remembering that your worth was never determined by another person's timing. The world may have pulled your paths apart for a season, but it could never erase the kindness you shared, the lessons you inspired, or the mark you left on one another's lives. And as your soulmate embraces that truth more deeply with each passing day, another chapter begins to unfold. One where memories are no longer hidden behind silence, where gratitude slowly becomes courage, and where the feelings that survived every obstacle prepare to face the future with a new honesty that neither of you could have embraced before.